Hey everyone, welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Settle in, because tonight's video has everything: whispers, tempers, and a storm that's been building for weeks. Don't forget to subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets and share this video so you don't miss a single update, because what unfolded last night has the entire industry talking. The tension that had been simmering behind closed doors finally spilled over. Cemre Arda, the wife of acclaimed actor Gökberk Yıldırım, stepped into the spotlight with a fierce, unmistakable warning shot, and at the center of it all was one name that kept echoing through late-night group chats and production halls: Cemre. The rumor, as it was whispered from set to set, claimed that Cemre and Gökberk had crossed a line. And once that whisper found its way to Cemre, everything changed. According to people who were present during a gathering that was supposed to be casual and friendly, Cemre, her voice steady but her hands trembling with emotion, drew a line in the sand. She spoke with the kind of clarity that leaves no room for misinterpretation. The message was unmistakable: she would not allow her family to be dismantled quietly, and she would hold the person she believed responsible to account. Those on the periphery, hearing her words, watched them spread like sparks to the dry forest of social media. Within hours, the conversation had exploded. Was it true? Was it fabricated? No one could say for certain. But the uncertainty only fed the frenzy. While the story climbed the trending lists and fans split into camps, one detail made the fire burn even hotter: Cemre, the woman at the center of the allegation, offered no response. No confirmation, no denial. Just silence. And when there is silence, the industry loves to talk. On the other side of the storm, Gökberk Yıldırım maintained the kind of disciplined quiet that has always defined his public life. He has been in the news frequently thanks to a string of successful projects and high-profile shoots, yet now, faced with questions that brushed up against the most intimate corners of his life, he declined to comment. Those who have seen him on set these past days describe a man trying to keep his head down while every glance and whisper in the makeup trailer carries an extra weight. He focuses on call sheets and marks, avoiding eye contact whenever a phone buzzes with another headline. Meanwhile, the internet behaves like a newsroom without a closing hour. On Twitter and Instagram, opinion threads stack upon speculation threads like the floors of a tower built overnight. Some users rally behind Cemre with wholehearted support, describing her statement as bravery in the face of betrayal. Others insist the rumor is nothing but a distortion, a misunderstanding inflated beyond recognition. Deeper in, fan accounts trade behind-the-scenes tidbits, as if assembling a mosaic out of half-truths will reveal a complete image. Insiders predict that this cannot remain in limbo for long. If history is a guide, at least one of the parties will have to break the silence, and soon. A representative statement, a carefully chosen interview, or even a quiet appearance that says everything without a single word, one way or another, the scales will tip. Production offices have already adjusted their schedules for the week to prepare segments about the story. It's not just trending, it's commanding. Once Cemre's words punctured the late-night hush, phones lit up across the industry. Agents called producers. Producers called assistants. Assistants called friends. Nobody wanted to be the last to know, everybody wanted to be the first to understand. With the possibility of a scandal hovering, every conversation led back to the same name: Cemre. Look closely and you could see the shift in the air. What was merely gossip earlier in the week now felt urgent, consequential. People close to Cemre insist she was blindsided. They describe a person who came to set expecting a normal day only to discover her name trending for reasons that had nothing to do with the work she prides herself on. Those same friends say she is deeply shaken, that she doesn't recognize the portrait being sketched by strangers. Whether these accounts capture the full truth, nobody can say. They are second-hand stories carried by sympathetic voices trying to give context to a storm they can't stop. Still, they add another layer to the narrative, a counterweight to the outrage. And then there's the undercurrent that those closest to the couple have hinted at for weeks. Even before last night, the energy around Gökberk and Cemre had noticeably shifted. Small disagreements lingered longer. Appearances that used to radiate effortless warmth began to feel rehearsed. People who know them well are careful not to betray confidences, but they admit that something was going on, and this rumor may have been the spark that met a trail of old, dry kindling. Sources say Cemre has told her inner circle she feels trapped inside a story she didn't write. "I've been pulled into a fight that isn't mine," she reportedly confided, her voice fragile with exhaustion. Her representatives, cautious and strategic, are said to be drafting a statement while keeping it under lock and key until the timing feels right. No one wants a sentence that inflames what could be soothed with patience. You can feel the tremor on set. In recent images, everyone seems more careful, as if a single careless laugh or stray glance might be stitched into the narrative. Directors and assistant directors trade words in low tones, determined to keep tempers cool and shots on schedule. The production team dreams of a normal day. They'd accept quiet for just a few hours. They'd welcome the kind of silence that doesn't need to be filled by commentary. As the story grew through the night, fresh details filtered out of private conversations like light through blinds. One of them described a recent reception where Cemre attended with a tight smile that never quite reached her eyes. People there remember her checking her phone repeatedly, the faint crease of worry etched between her brows, and the way she seemed to drift to the edges of every conversation. If last night's outburst surprised anyone, these eyewitnesses say it shouldn't have. The signs were all there, hiding in plain sight for anyone who dared to look past the gowns and the glamour. Meanwhile, those who care about Gökberk have thrown up a wall to keep the noise from reaching him directly. They insist he wants nothing more than to protect what's private and to find a solution that looks nothing like a headline. One friend described him in a sentence that felt like a plea: he wants calm. He wants the volume turned down. He wants space to breathe without explaining every inhale to a curious world. And yet, the world keeps asking for a response. For Cemre, the pressure is a living thing. Her team has communicated to trusted contacts that there won't be a statement, not for now. And that speculation won't coax her to the microphone. She is said to be struggling to focus on her work, distracted by the knowledge that every step she takes could be recorded, captioned, debated. A woman widely admired for her composure is now trying to disappear from a stage she never chose. The tabloids have built a temporary house around this story. In one corner, there are pundits insisting that silence is gasoline. In another, voices argue it's the only way to let smoke clear. Skeptics shake their heads and call the entire thing an overreaction. Loyalists tighten their arms around their favorites like a fortress. But almost everyone agrees on one point: within a handful of days, a thread will be pulled and we'll see the fabric for what it is. By morning, the curiosity that kept people up past midnight had transformed into full-blown fixation. Entertainment shows opened with this as their headline story, their hosts holding phones flooded with messages from viewers asking the same question: what's the truth? Correspondents dialed in from set gates and office foyers, offering bits and pieces of context like puzzle fragments that might, if turned the right way, finally fit. Back on social media, the feed refreshed faster than eyes could keep up. Every hour birthed a new rumor, a new theory, a new claim disguised as a confession. Some fans believed Cemre's anger was the most honest moment of the whole saga, a protective flare fired on behalf of her home. Others begged for proof, reminding everyone that in the absence of evidence, gossip grows roots in the easiest soil. Hashtags sprouted: admiration, accusation, analysis, and somewhere in that thicket, a more complicated truth waited for someone brave enough to say it out loud. That relationships are fragile, that rumors can wound, and that the public will turn anything into content if left alone long enough. Inside all of this noise lives a very human story. Cemre, for all her poise, is a woman whose voice shook when she realized strangers were debating the shape of her marriage. Gökberk, for all his celebrity, is a man who doesn't want to look up from a script to find his private life footnoted in bold. Cemre, for all her success, is an actress who woke up to find her name attached to something she cannot control. None of them planned this chapter. All of them are now trapped in it. People who were at that fateful gathering remember the atmosphere changing the moment Cemre spoke. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The clarity did the work. One observer described the room holding its breath while she finished her thought and then, as if on cue, releasing it in a dozen quick exchanges that traveled to cars, then to phones, then to rooms across the city where people lay awake and stared at glowing screens long after they should have been asleep. Will there be an official statement? That's the question everyone is asking, as if a single paragraph will fix what has splintered. The whispers suggest a plan is forming, but the timeline remains elusive. Cemre's advisors are said to be urging patience out of respect for both the work and the home. Gökberk's team is coordinating schedules so he can keep commitments without inviting a blitz of microphones. Sinem's representatives remain steadfast, no comment until there is something responsible to say. It's worth remembering that this industry thrives on the flicker between truth and performance. Cameras capture, edits refine, and audiences project what they need onto the final picture. But this time, the footage is their lives. The stakes aren't ratings, they're the fragile threads that hold hearts together. If the parties can find a space to speak quietly, away from applause and outrage, perhaps there is a version of this story that ends without winners or losers, only people who remember why they chose one another in the first place. For now, the city moves around them while the world waits. The set lights switch on. The call sheets go out. The coffee cups are filled. Crew members wear headphones and avoid eye contact with cameras, not because they're hiding something, but because they don't want to be part of the shot. The orbit tightens, the circle shrinks, and inside the hush there's the small hope that tomorrow will be less loud than today. We'll be watching, listening, and bringing you every real development as it comes. Until then, breathe. Don't believe everything shouted the loudest. And remember that somewhere behind the headlines are 3 people who didn't want this stage. This is where we'll leave it for now. If you want the updates the moment they break, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets and share this video so others can hear the story without the spin. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.